Today we're going to talk about the Air Force and averages and what that has to do with your long-term financial plan. So in 1950, the United States Air Force had a really big problem. Their data for the average pilot was out of date. They were using information from the 1920s when they built their first World War I fighter cockpit. They needed a new standard, a new one-size-fit-all on measurements so that any aircraft they built, any size of person could fit. So maybe you see where this is going. The researchers for the military said, hey, let's do this. Let's measure 10 different measurements across thousands of different pilots and airmen to understand what the perfect average pilot should look like from a size standpoint. So they were measuring things like length of arms, length of legs, size of chest, width of shoulders, kind of like when you're getting fit for a suit. So they built this average size cockpit, and what was really interesting is as these new pilots started flying these new aircrafts, there was a lot of carnage. There was a ton of fatalities due to these planes going down either in war or just in training combat. And so this is obviously extremely concerning to the Air Force. They dove into the details really quickly, and what they noticed was that they built a cockpit that could fit the average person, and by doing this, it effectively fit nobody. So you may be asking yourself, what does this actually have to do with my financial well-being and my financial plan? And in reality, it has everything to do with it. So when we look at things like what should the average rate of return be on your portfolio, this is a question we get asked all the time. We can talk statistical averages, but when you look on a year-over-year basis, you're never going to get the average. The only way you get the average is over the long term. Another question we get a lot is, what does your average client look like? What does they owe? What do they own? What does their portfolio look like? And we can give you an outline of what our average client looks like, but then reality is none of our clients actually look like our average client. So ultimately these questions on averages, what does our average client look like? What does the statistical, average rate of return, what should that look like on a year-over-year basis? It's really tough to answer these questions because no client is average and no portfolio, quite frankly, is average either. Really what this all boils down to are two primary questions that a lot of folks, that literally every single client or potential client that walks through the 10 Capital door has, is basically they just want to know two things. One is, do I have the resources to live the life that I want to live? And two, am I prepared for life surprises? To get to answering these two questions, what should you be as a consumer looking for in a partner to actually help get to the bottom of these two primary questions that you should be asking? And I think it really boils down to our process here, and this is what we do. So we have a process: values, data, action. So first and foremost, you want a partner that's going to invest the time up front to get to know you, your dreams, your hopes, your goals, your fears, to really understand where you're trying to go on a personal in a personal way. Second, that's when we take the data. What do you owe? What do you own? And then we try to look at it through the lens of your value set. And then finally, third and potentially even most important, is ongoing. What are the action items? What are the tasks, the ongoing things that we need to do to implement to ensure that you not only are on track, but you stay on track? And a partner that holds you accountable to actually implement sometimes scary big changes in your life. So to go back to our story on the Air Force, they actually went through and measured 4,000 men, 10 different metrics, and what we ended up finding was how many of them actually fit the average, the ideal average that they came up with. And the answer is, of those 4,000 men, 0 people were perfectly average. So with that said, to wrap it up, just remember that we look at every single one of our clients as unique, special, and has a personal relationship with their advisor. So if you have any questions on our planning process, this story, or anything else, feel free to reach out. Hope this helps. We'll talk to you soon. So the story about the Air Force, we wanted to give credit to the podcast 99% Invisible. The episode is called On Average. We'll put a link for you to check it out further.